Yay!
Well,
So
yeah.
excited about this week's episode of Conversations That Count. I am joined by Tamara, which I'm super excited about our chat.
Aw.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, beautiful girl.
Yes,
It's an honor,
I love
honestly.
it. Tamara, your zone of genius is all things personal brand, authenticity, and stepping into your personal power. So I'm so excited about where this conversation's going because I feel like it's so relevant in all aspects of life, not just in business, but in personal as well. So yeah, excited to see how we navigate through this.
And I love that you brought this up because I've recently just started working with someone in marketing. And just before we started, she got me to close my eyes
Mm,
and she said, what do you want people to know you as when they leave the room? What do you want people to
mm,
say? And the thing that came to me straight away was motivational speaking. And she's like, well, why aren't you doing more of that? And I
mm,
think a lot of the times when it comes to building a personal brand, we close ourselves off to really just being this one identity or one
mm,
aspect of us or a version of us when, you know, I believe, in personal branding, we get to create the big picture, the vision, right?
mm,
So I love that we're here talking about all things personal branding, owning your power, your zone of genius and authenticity. So,
mm.
yeah.
Let's start there. Like how do you actually navigate that? Like, because personal branding, I feel like it's definitely a lot of people are focusing more on that as well. And
Mm,
it's people connect with people, right?
yep.
It's not necessarily who you work for or your job title or anything like that. It's like who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So how do you build personal brand or what does
Yes.
that even mean?
God, if and I want to
That's such a big question
yeah,
right there.
and I want to explain it from a place of like not
Mm,
the strategy, but more around like a great thing I love about Simon Sinek. He's like people
mm,
buy your why, and a lot of people when they start their personal branding journey, they focus on the look, the feel, but
mm,
not the connection and why they've built this beautiful brand, who they are as a person, and how that can become such resonance and relatability. And so how you begin with the personal brand, it's like, well, who are you? What
mm,
do you love? What, sets your soul on fire and what are your attributes? What are your, what's your voice? How are you as a person? And I think where even when I went wrong when I first started in the online space as a fitness coach, I didn't know any of this because I think my reason for what I started my business was so different to what it is now because it wasn't even true to who I was.
mm,
I saw one of my best friends, Ashley Freeman, start competing and I was like, I want to do that. And so reflecting on my choices over the time, whilst it was a version of me and I loved that I stepped into fitness, now helping women in business, I think the core essence comes to finding out who you are first and foremost. And a lot of people don't know who that
absolutely.
is.
100%.
Or they think, how or who, why will people listen to me?
Mm,
Who am I to, build a personal brand? Or a lot of the things I get is my story is not tragic, my story is simple. And I think that can also be a superpower.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people become who they think that they should be
Mm,
or need to be and not necessarily who they are. And
yeah.
that's where you get that massive disconnection of this doesn't feel right, or I'm not inspired, or I'm not motivated by my life. And it's because you're not living a life true to who you are.
Yeah.
And it's not until you really ask yourself those questions of like, who am I and what is what you said, like, what's my why?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that. And that's a massive generalization, I know,
Yeah.
but it's such an important question to start with.
And when I started business coaching, the first thing I used to do with my clients was building their foundation. So, how can you do the same when it comes to your personal branding?
Mm,
Because it's the same with your values, your mission and vision, and creating rules and decisions based on your values as a business and as a brand, which is
mm,
you, right? So, I believe in messy action. I believe in, being your authentic self. I do believe also that you can be polished, presentable, and have a really luxe brand. That's what we strive for. Like we want to work with founders in business and eventually step into the corporate space when it
mm,
comes to what we do. But everyone has to have a really great, solid foundation. And I always say, like, your authenticity is your first sort of following the breadcrumbs.
mm,
And if you don't know how to explore that. Well, that's what we're here to do today, right? You know? And I think I had to learn the hard way. And I think if anyone's listening to, it's like when you remove all the layers of who you need to be or who you get to become, or if it's always been in within yourself, it's like looking back at that little girl. And me as a little girl, I was always wanting to help people. And it's so cliche and it's like everyone says that, but it's like actually my story.
Yeah.
And I think it's because what I was experiencing behind the scenes, you know, a very dysfunctional family. My dad was a gambling addict. I was born in Germany. You know, the way I used to envision my life as a little girl was like I just wanted to help people believe in themselves, because behind the scenes, like it's all I had, you know. And, you know, when you can reflect back on when you were younger, like what was she or he doing? What was her, you know, what was she like, or what is she like now? And we want to bring more of that to what we get to achieve, you know.
I love that so much. And when you're a child, you're so carefree, right? We're told this story, and it's not really a story, but like you can be anything you want to be in the world. Like, what does your heart desire?
Yeah.
And we're told that. And so we do everything and anything that we possibly can. And as we get older or we go through different stages of life, it's like we forget that.
Yeah.
And so it's actually reconnecting with like that, as you said, that inner child and knowing what they wanted at the time and how can you bring that more into life right now as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think about what was my little, where did things start to change and shift? And it's coming back to self-acceptance and self-worth. It's like you as your younger version always just wanted to be loved, right? So if we think about authenticity, we lead from the heart. We lead of our true essence. So coming back to that and finding that self-acceptance to build authenticity, it begins with us. Yeah. So authenticity, as non-strategy this is, it's loving yourself again and owning that.
And how do you do that?
Oh my God, I'm still working on that, right? But here's something I'm navigating at the moment, and it's something that I spoke about at this recent live event that I spoke at She Means Business. And every time I speak on stage now, it's always a story. It's never a script. It's always like, what am I navigating through? And I always like to begin with the truth, right? And I've only realized that I'm still navigating through fear of judgment. And I have to find forgiveness in myself with that. And based on a story that I realized, and I share this with people a lot, you know, when I was 12, I was homeless, right? And in that story that I share, which I've shared over the 10 years, there's one bit of that story that I forgot. And this has only recently come up. You know, my mum was there, my little brother was there. We were, you know, trying to get into our home. She opened the door. She couldn't get in. She calls my dad. My dad says, you know, he's obviously spent all the money. There's no money for us to pay for rent. So we got kicked out. That was a big story I always shared. Only recently, when I was doing the work on myself, which is coming back to the love piece, I realized there was one person there that I forgot, and that was one of my best friends at the time. And when we were homeless, we ran to the owner of that house had a house down the road. We ran there when I was a little girl at 12, me and my best friend knocking on the door saying, please, please help me. We really need to get into our house. Like, we've been locked out. And the wife and the two sons walked out and they're like, well, there's nothing we can do. She told everyone. And that came up recently. And the way you start to love yourself is, yes, the internal work, but it's forgiving yourself. Knowing you are loved with the good and the bad, no money, with money. And there was this fear of judgment that I faced for so long, that if I wasn't a certain way, if I wasn't loved and seen, that I wasn't lovable.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of my story that I recently shared on stage. So yeah, coming back to you, babe, it's forgiving you. It's forgiving those parts of us. It's like, it's the internal work that's ongoing these days. And
100%.
It's part of our story too, you know?
Yeah. And there's always, like, as you said, the light and the dark. It's actually acknowledging all of that.
Yeah.
And also accepting all of that as well.
Yes.
And also, you know, when it comes to judgment, sometimes it's the other person projecting their insecurities and, you know, projecting their things onto you. So it's also acknowledging, like, well, that's not about me. I accept all of me, regardless of what you say.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's again like,
That's also hard for, like, you know, we know that now, but yeah.
yeah. Well, that's it. Like back then, you know, and then I think as well, coming back to at that time now, I really didn't really have a choice to be a kid. So I'm now relearning, unlearning and relearning, you know, how I can be more me. And it's kind of like allowing myself to process these emotions and allowing myself to get angry and sad, you know, and that's all part of self-acceptance too. Because, you know, back then it was like, don't tell people what you're going through, no one's got problems. Everyone's happy family. So I had to grow up quite quickly. And it's, again, like part of what I love sharing on stage and talking about with authenticity. You know, I want it to be the permission slip for women.
Oh, absolutely. And people are going to resonate with your story.
Yeah,
And
thank
people
you,
are
hon.
going to go, do you know what? I'm not alone here.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's a massive permission slip for people to actually go, I've got things I need to work on as well. Or if she can, I can.
That's exactly right.
So, yeah.
And the fact that I'm navigating it still, that is what is important to like understand. And when we're looking at our personal brand and showing up online, the most beautiful piece to anything, it's being relatable. And right now the market is shifting, as you might know, right? And it's less about the influencer mindset. It's more about the impactful person, the personal brand that has connection, the personal brand that, you know, has faults, is raw, is original, you know, has light and shade, positive and negative, bad and good. You know, that's what people want to see more.
Yeah.
There's no polished, you know, highlight reel anymore.
No.
You know?
And there's no perfect person.
No.
That's
I was
the
late
thing.
today and I was like, I'm so fucking sorry. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But
Yeah.
there's no perfect person at all. And I sometimes struggle like showing up line and what do I actually share? Because like I think every day you're learning something new. You're always navigating something, and that's a part of personal growth and personal evolution. And especially if you are creating things and building things, you're naturally going to have things pop up. And I'm like, what do I actually share? And do people care
Yeah,
at
that's a
the
good
same
question.
time? And, you know, are they just going to go, oh, she's complaining again? So I totally get that. And that's something I'm like working through at the same time.
Yeah, it's so funny because I used to talk about everything when I was starting out, and I was just like, okay, Tam, well, the truth is no one cares unless it's got something to do with them. And and this is where, you know, strategy and business is interesting because, you know, part of you sharing is so that they have some kind of relatability, and it's basically putting it back on them, you know. Yes, we can be inspirational. Yes, we can be someone that people say, you've motivated me to go to the gym. Okay, cool, but why? And what's stopping you from working with me? And that's the gap that we want to use personal branding in. It's like having that connection, relatability story, whether our rant resonates, whether there's a framework around that. But then like, how do we get that beautiful story? And this is where we teach, you know, in our beautiful space, in our group, you know, every story has a call to action or a way for them to respond, because our goal on social media, as we know, is to engage and to convert.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I guess like that's such a learning in itself, isn't it? Like the whole navigation of that world.
Yeah. And if you think about if we look at it as a shop front, you know, like going into a coffee store, grabbing a coffee, you know, they're selling every day. And so our job as a business owner, service provider, coach, whatever you guys do, your personal brand, you know, you're there to change and shift their perspective on life and also offer the result too. And so by doing that, you know, every day it's about sharing, expressing, but it's always meaning to be relevant to them. And there's so many frameworks we teach. Like if you had a rant and that's what's, you know, and for you it's maybe like, is this something I want to share because I need to share or want to share, or if this is going to be of service or impact?
Yeah.
I think there's so many questions
Intention.
we can, ask ourselves around it. I used to use it as a way of explaining. I actually think sometimes I reflect on that. I think I was projecting and also like processing at the same time back before I even realized what I was doing. So I'm always very big on my clients where it needs to be coming from a place of, yes, intent, love, but have you worked through it? Because the embodiment piece is so important. And I say this with absolute love, like fucking hell, there's people out there not actually, you know, being the embodiment of what they practice.
I love that so much because the embodiment and let's
triggered.
talk through but let's talk through that because like embodiment, like what is that at the same time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we can, I'm like, well, the embodiment piece is so key because then you're in flow and you're teaching from the heart as well, like you're coming from the right place rather than saying, hey, I'm doing this and I can be this for you. And is that true 100%. At the same time, where embodiment is such a key element in all aspects of life, in whatever it is that you do, because it's saying that I've done this, I've moved through this experience, I've taken the lessons, I've integrated that, now this is who I am.
It's the integration, you know, and I think when I first stepped into the transition of my business, I never said, do what I do. I said, hey, I'm going through this journey. I'd love for you to follow me. And, you know, if this connects with you, if this is relatable to you, just know you're not alone. You know, I was going through the transition, you know, and I worked so hard to go from one identity of fitness into a business owner, into a business mentor now, like being a speaker. And I think where I believe I was able to build the authority was because I owned where I was at, not promoted myself, what I wanted people to know me as.
I love that so much. Yeah.
But because I used to, you know, and not with ego, not with realizing it. Do you know what I mean? Like in the fitness space, it's such a common thing. And I was like promoting like I had this, you know, multi-million-dollar business, and I did good, but it wasn't that. And a lot of people aren't actually being real to what they promote. And I think more people now need to make a stand for the people that are working hard and those that are not, you know.
And I suppose you're going to get that in all industries, right? It's just then connecting back to the person
and that's
as well.
And that's it, you know, and I just say that with love because I want more people to understand that the work that you do to build your personal brand, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly lessons and growth, but also gets to be an opportunity for you to also lean into being more like the best version, and that's the embodiment piece. And I own I'm not perfect. I own that I have falls. I definitely have so much more to learn, but I own that too.
That's life,
yes.
Right? That's just navigating life at the same time because if we're the same person, like, oh, fuck, I wasn't even the same person as I was last week.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
3
like,
weeks ago, babes.
But it's so true. And like we hold on to like, I'm this person today. I need to be that person next week. No, you constantly changing and evolving and, you know.
Yeah, preach it, sister.
Yeah, I love that.
I agree so much.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've gone through a few identity shifts within that time as well.
3 weeks?
Yeah. Oh, no, but like in terms of like moving from fitness to business. I'm like, how's my hand gestures here?
I like it. It's like a wave.
Yeah, exactly right. The journey of life. How do you navigate that? And this is something that I'm really thinking about a lot at the moment because, as I mentioned, I've like
gone through your own.
Yeah, navigating a lot at the moment. And one thing I don't believe that we talk about often is that while we're stepping into that new version of you, there's a grief process that goes with that as well. Yeah. And that is the hardest part to move through, I think, because you know your why and you know the reasons you're doing things, but for you to step into that new version, you have to let go of so much, and there's that grieving process.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go through what each of them was. Everyone was a little bit more different. I think when I went from fitness to life coaching, and life coaching we still do now. If you think about it, it's like part of coaches who have studied NLP and know the life coaching modalities. But it felt like for that piece, when I went from fitness to life coaching, like I had made this big decision and then it was like, holy fuck, what do I do now? And it was also like a lot of imposter syndrome that came up and a lot of like, who am I when I'm not this? Who am I when I don't have the pro athlete status? Who am I, you know, when I don't have people like, you know, at the fitness events coming up to me? Who am I without the sponsorships? And it was like a clean slate. But it happened at a time where I was grieving also like love, and I was grieving a relationship. I was grieving so many things. So it was almost like I grieved so many parts of me, but it was really beautiful because it was the most hardest time, that first transition, because I was learning more about myself. I was learning about like, you know, my past and the lenses of life, you know, when you look at the world from different lenses of victim versus growth. I was in victim mindset as a fitness coach. I wasn't aware of it though.
Yeah.
So that in itself was a grief because I was like, fuck, Tam. Whoa, wake up call, you absolute twat. And also, like, how cool is it now you get to work through this? And it's that penny drop for me. So, yeah, it was really interesting from being single and, you know, moving to a studio apartment, COVID hit, and then the fucking ego death and even the healing journey. I'll tell you a quick story. And I think this is a really great opportunity for anyone as well when it comes to the grief. I grieved around love. I was seeing someone during COVID, and it was when I was working on myself with life coaching, and we were doing so many different modalities of like the letting go process. There was this meditation we learnt, which is called the Ho'oponopono meditation. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah. I
Fuck
love
me.
it.
So there was a point where in that time, this person I was seeing left, wanted to focus on himself, didn't see anything in me, and it broke me. But in my eyes, I thought maybe he's just going through stuff and whatnot. And we did this meditation. Literally, I got this stabbing pain in my eyes, headache. I opened my eyes because I was crying so much. I had bloodshot eyes, and it was like the universe saying, "What do you not see?" And I think this is just a big reminder that sometimes we get so caught up in the grief in what we're not seeing in front of us when really our path is right there, what's really obvious. And sometimes we create all these stories. It's like, you know what? Sometimes you just need to let go and trust. And that was one of the biggest let go for me.
Yeah. So powerful though, right?
I wish I had photos, babe. I might be able to find them for this podcast because I looked like a vampire.
Yeah, wow.
It's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you touched on such a great point there, is that we hold on to things so much because we want it to be a certain way. And the whole point of life, it's a journey, and it's the letting go and surrendering into whatever will be. And I know that's a lot easier said than done sometimes, because you want it to be a particular way and you want it to happen. And, you know, like sometimes it doesn't work out the way it's meant to, but there's lessons in that.
If you can picture like that grip you hold on to, like it's like you're really like this, and if you can just like slowly just like let your fingers just relax, you know, that's essentially like the identities we hold on to, and it's sometimes you just need to let go and the rest will follow. Yeah. So I encourage anyone listening, you know, and for yourself as well, you know, we're so hard on ourselves, and it's okay to change direction. Change is such a big thing that people freak out about. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And people will need, like, they need to want to change. That made no sense.
It did. Oh, well, to me it did.
Oh, yeah.
People need to want to change.
Yeah,
right?
exactly right, for them to change. Otherwise, like, they'll just keep doing the same thing. Yeah. So, I love it.
100%. Yeah. Change has been coming up for me a lot lately too. So we're about to evolve again. Like I should be called the transition
God, tell me. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting, this recent navigation of fear of judgment, and then the talk I recently did, as I said, like I'm now leaning into speaking on stage. We're now wanting to work with founders and helping them navigate through how to speak on stage, how to present, how to build their personal brand, founders who want to really nail their messaging, who are not just here to play small, but are wanting to be like that next level personal brand that are speaking, you know, and that's the direction we're now going in.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just another layer of what we do, because I've been on stage since I was 3, and then I guess my life has always been a stage of evolvement in different arenas. So I find every time I work with women, it's kind of what I was saying to you before with life coaching. I was helping women in life coaching, and then they would always want to then work on their careers. Now women I work with in their careers, they all want to speak on stage. I was like, fuck, this is okay. So we're like, exploring that now. Yeah. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like you follow the golden thread. That's what's coming up, and you're like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Just navigate that through that as well.
That's it.
Yeah.
And let it, like, if that, you know, sometimes you just need someone to tell you you're ready for it. Like I wasn't ready to go, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm the next Tamara Robbins, until someone said it. And I was like, okay, I need to own that.
Yeah. And I think as well, like doing that, it's all those other skills that happen in the background as well. It's like so many people and I'm going to be general here and talk about not just business owners as well, is that they just go on, you know, little quiet achievers, some people as well. And it's like, okay, well, how do you own your greatness, and how do you step into your greatness, and how do you be seen and heard as well?
Yeah.
And that
love
sometimes it's hard because it takes like the confidence to do so. Facing your fears of judgment. What if I fail? What if I get rejected? What if I say the wrong thing? Who actually cares? And so it's like doing all the things in the background that help you to get there, like doing the podcast or showing up on socials or talking on stories or putting your hand up in a meeting and actually talking. Like these are all skills. They might seem like minute things at the time, but they're all just building that confidence to then get up on stage or whatever it is. 100%.
Like this month of Feb has been the hardest month for me with the things I was working through behind the scenes, but it's been the best because I'd be crying with my mentors like, why is this so hard? And then all of a sudden, like the tools that I've implemented and integrated, you know, breath work, central nervous system regulation, stepping into my feminine, which we spoke about last time, you know, and owning my story and knowing how that can just, you know, expand. It's the things that people don't see that can make the ripple effect in your business, you know. Even when you feel like showing up online is not getting that straight away return of investment or gratification, right? Instant gratification. It's actually why we have to keep going and why we need to do the touch points, the internal work, implementing the skill set, integrating it all. Yeah, it's all part of it. Hey, babe.
Oh, 100%. How do you navigate
what I just went through? I don't know.
I'm still learning, but I figure it out. I'll let you know.
I'm in the processing phase.
Yeah, but like, you know, you're going through so much change at the moment,
massive.
and, you know, shift in identity and change and pivots and all of that. How do you still show up and be grounded in moments of uncertainty as well?
Yeah, I think my whole life has been like I need to create frameworks for this. Honestly, if I didn't have the people in my life, the mentors as well, the uncertainty piece, I mean, like every new level that you're ascending, right, or another level, another level, of course there's going to be uncertainty. And it's just like, I think you just get really good at leaning into it.
Yeah.
Like I think for me, like I'm so, like I have no idea what this new direction is going to look like with everything else we're doing. But you get so good at owning it.
Yeah.
And even when you do feel that uncertainty and not knowing, it's kind of like, well, okay, rather than being afraid, it's like that excitement piece, like I'm doing something new.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Because that was what I was like as a little girl. Like I used to do backflips, not be scared of falling on my head. And then I fell on my head and I was so scared. And so it's almost like we have to see that every time we think we're going to fall, we're actually falling into like taking that big leap to the next big thing. You know?
And it's worth it, right?
So
you're doing it for a reason. There's a reason like it popped up.
Well, it's funny because more opportunities are coming now that I've owned it. So it's kind of like it's the acceptance, it's the surrender, and then you kind of have to declare it and then take actionable steps towards it. So now I'm having conversations with people about this venture and people are like, fuck, this is awesome. How do we take part of it? What is the, you know, what do you do? What's the process? And now we're just putting it all in place. So
I love that when you say yes and it's like everything else just falls into place, right?
Yeah. And
opportunities
you've been doing it too.
Oh, 100%. Like I left, I think I told you, left my corporate job, like career that I built for 13 years, stepping full time into business and what I'm creating at the moment. As soon as I left, and that was only the end of December, so literally 2 months ago, the amount of opportunities that have popped up since then. I've created this podcast. I've got really exciting business ventures that are coming up. Conversations are different. Like people are reaching out. Like there's so much more. And it's because sometimes you have to let go, step into the uncertainty, face all of that. Because it was hard, like to actually make that decision. Step into that, own it, and then just go, do you know what? This is the direction. And now things will just naturally unfold, and they have been.
Yeah.
And there's hard parts that go with all of that at the same time. But, you know.
And I love that because it's say yes, figure it out along
100%.
the way. Like,
yeah. Because there's so, like, by you overthinking about it, you're then creating inaction. And so you're just sitting on the fence. and you're just kind of going through life and like, oh, should I not just jump in and figure it out as you go?
Legit.
It's my motto.
Media.
Yeah.
Winging it. And I say don't wing your strategy, but sometimes you're the strategy.
Yeah, you
and
are.
that's when you look at everything else from different lenses, and your own intuition's your superpower. Yes, you can have frameworks and the structure around it all, but like, look at you where you are now.
Yeah.
Have you done 20 episodes yet? Was it 20?
No, so just to give the listeners a little bit of context. So Tamara and I did a podcast interview about a month ago, and it didn't go according to plan.
Imperfect action. Yeah.
And so now we're re-recording this episode.
Do you know that this happened with me and Shani? It must be me.
Ah,
I don't know.
Do you know what? I just roll with it. Like, everything is happening for you. So there's a reason that this conversation is popping up, which is totally different to the first one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a goal with this podcast by the end of the year. I think I want to release, one a week. So I think I'm 7 weeks in now, something like that.
That's awesome.
And the feedback has been so great. Like, I'm loving it. And there's people in my network listening. I'm like, I didn't even know that you were there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Do you know what I mean? And I just love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it's best thing I did when I was transitioning was start a podcast. It's like, that's how you want the hack for certainty, start a podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's bringing you in, like, people that see you and your areas of expertise, honey.
I know, it's so great. In terms of like, so you're navigating all of this at the moment. Where do you want to take your business? Have we even spoken about your business actually, besides like the new side of it? We've gone through so many things. So
yes. Okay. So what I have now at the moment, like, obviously I consult with businesses, but predominantly I have two offers. It's Queendom Mastermind, where a lot of women come to me. They build their businesses, their personal brand, their authority, their offers in a year with me. They make multi-six figures, and we go from being unknown to building a legacy, and that's around how you show up online authentically, selling through storytelling, and scaling your beautiful personal brand, And then Empire is our beautiful school, our Empire school. So we teach, people when it comes to either startups, people who are going from one identity to another, transitioning from 9 to 5 to building an online business. We help them hit consistent 20K months in that 6 months, And that's all the same messaging, authenticity, building your product, starting a business that's going to work around your lifestyle, not a prison. It's the foundation of it all, of the empire. And then, of course, speaking now and, like working with founders when it comes to, just like, you can be a personal brand, but what can that do for you now?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my zone of geniuses with people. It's like, okay, we can work with you, and then we can get you in front of the right people that they're going to want to hear you and your story and what you do. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, I
now.
love that. Yeah.
I can't tell you the name just yet, but when it does come, I know, we work fast.
Yes, great.
But I don't know if I've said this, because another big part of this whole venture too, when I was 8, it's kind of how this is all kind of unfolded, and it's putting the pieces back in place, Like, my third language was English. I don't know if you know that. So I spoke German, Portuguese, and then when we moved to Australia when I was 4, English was my third language. So my beautiful mum was teaching me English, who couldn't speak English. My dad was not around. So at 8, the teacher said to me, Tamara's got lots of potential, but she needs to learn how to read, write, fucking speak. And my beautiful mum at the time, we didn't have much money, but she it was a drama school across the road, and I went there, and I that's how I started to read, write, speak, memorize poems. I would read poems and memorize them. I'd do monologues. I was the acting, student. I was the drama nerd. But that's what I think has got me to where I am now. And the vision is to create an entrepreneur school for kids, for teenagers who want to, become entrepreneurs. Want to learn how to speak, want to step on stage, because part of my story is dancing, singing, and acting, and now speaking. So that's like the big vision.
I love that so much, and you're giving back, right?
That's it. Like, I truly believe, like, my mum, I get emotional about this now because it's so beautiful, because she would feed their cat across the road to pay for the tuition. She would create costumes for us. And that drama school really saved me. Like my house life was like really bad, you know, and that's where I started to really love performing, you know. And I think a lot of kids need that for not only just confidence, but what if there's, you know, things happening behind the scenes and it's holding them back to being themselves?
Yeah.
You know, kids these days are stuck on their phone, don't even know how to say hello, or lose confidence or have anxiety. Or my brother was diagnosed with Asperger's as an early adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this could open up so many beautiful ways for them to heal, but also step into their power.
So great. And listening to your story, it's like you're becoming the person and the woman that you needed to be when you were a child, right? And that's how we inspire, and that's how we like find our purpose and our gift is through that as well. So that's really beautiful.
I want to give this permission for everyone right now. Sometimes you don't know what your purpose is, but like a big part of what we do with our clients when it comes to their personal brand, like your story is always shaped by the significance events that have shaped you for who you are, as is your purpose sometimes. And maybe you just need to follow and connect the dots along the way and just look back on that. And fuck me, I didn't realize what my purpose was. I was just, you know, following my heart, and then, you know, here we are.
I love that so much. What's the legacy? You spoke about legacy. What's the legacy that you want to leave or create?
Yeah, I just really want people to never hold back from their true power. You know, I think I want more women and men too to be able to be themselves and create big things in their life. And that's like giving people their superpower. I think a lot of people who have had, you know, a bad upbringing or have been told to be a certain way, we want you to be your way as you. So that's the legacy I want to imprint in the world, you know, like globally, where more good humans are becoming entrepreneurs and their story can impact and create that ripple effect. I mean, I'm hoping by this story, it's given you guys the inspiration or the push you need to stop playing small and owning your truth and your authenticity and see what that can do for you.
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
have to be an entrepreneur, but you can change the world your own way.
Yeah. It's like having that little fire in your belly and you're like, there's something more here for me, and actually just following that at the same time.
I think we need to listen to that more. So, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, this is just a general question, like, what's your version of happiness? And, you know, I feel like there's always a drive for more and wanting to be more and create more, and because there's always more, right?
Of course.
What does that mean for you? And
I always talk about my future family and giving my future family the life I never had, and I guess that's a big why for me. And happiness to me, like yesterday, me and Jordan were at home with our 2 cats and we were looking at the water, and like behind the scenes, life's not perfect, but it was just one of those days where it's like, fuck, this is beautiful. You know, it's not always in the glitz and glam or being on stage. Like I've got happiness speaking to people in front of people. I've got happiness here right now. You know, I have happiness every day where I'm doing or living towards my vision. Is happiness in the little things with my friends. I just did a post about my growth and my lessons this month, and I reflect on just laughing and being around my people, and that's my happiness. You know, I think being able to be you and being accepted by yourself, being loved by other people, like that's happiness.
I saw that post. It's great. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was a month, but it was really good.
Yeah. But I love it as well because like I believe that every interaction or experience, there's always opportunity for growth and lessons. And some people don't look at them, but there's always that opportunity, right? And it's like, what was the lesson here? What was this trying to teach me? And now I've got an opportunity to go, okay, cool. I can step into that, or I can learn from that.
Still learning why I was late. Like, what was the lesson that not to be on my phone?
And what was my lesson at the same time? Do you know, like for that? I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe. There's no, just follow the rules tomorrow, or there are no rules.
Rules or whatever you make them to be, right? Yeah, exactly. But you're right. There's lessons in every interaction, and yeah, there's an opportunity for you to to grow through that, whatever that might be. And
Wait
that's
till
where
March.
self-reflection. Sorry.
Yes. I
Yeah.
was like, wait till March's lessons and growth.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But self-reflection, something I need to do more of. And I think for everyone else listening to, it doesn't have to be like this big thing, but yeah, like sometimes when you come to the end of the month, it's nice to go, what did I learn from this month? What helped me to grow?
Yeah.
What am I proud of? And
Yeah. I love
grateful.
it. Yeah, 100%. And it's good. I like it that, as you mentioned, it's monthly as well, rather than you get to the end of the year where people then go, oh, how was the year that just was? But yeah, you're getting to celebrate those things as you go through.
100%.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I think it's crazy to think that we're going to March. Like I like, don't you think it's weird that it's nearly like, what the hell? Like, and that's
Blink.
the thing.
Yeah.
Life just happens so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think often if we're just focused on more, and what you said, it's like, okay, be in the now. What's like, what are you happy about?
Yeah. How do you be present
Yes.
and enjoy the moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. I just got back from a trip from New Zealand, and
Yeah, you said it was beautiful.
it was very
Wedding?
beautiful.
Was it a wedding?
I went, yeah, for one of my good girlfriends' wedding over there. So it was just a magical day, and
So good.
it was interesting. Like, I get super reflective when I go traveling.
Oh, me
Like,
too.
just with what does everything mean to me? Am I on the right path? Like, what do I need to change? It's like this inspiration and change of environment, right? And also, like, what I was thinking a lot about home and what does home mean as well, and what's the feeling? Is it a place? Is it people? Exactly right. Like, what is home? And
that's a big one.
yeah, it is. And I've realized over the last 2 trips that I've had, I've really missed the Gold Coast. And I'm like, okay, what is it about the Gold Coast that I miss? And it's like, it feels like a sense of home, but I think it's like the person that I am here as well. And I love, going out and experiencing and stuff. But I had to keep on reminding myself, come back to the present moment of where you are and have the experience. And then when you're home, you're home. Like, it's just,
That's
it's
such a beautiful journey you just went through, I love on the plane. I'm the same. It's like these ideas and creativity, and then it's like, okay, like it's change of environment, but it's just nice that you come back to, I'm doing you now,
no, what's with my head?
the reflection to the creativity to the present self.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. Yeah. In terms of like, we've spoken a lot about change and, pivotal moments for you that have created you to be this incredible person that you are and doing incredible things. What would be like a standout lesson for you, or even a piece of advice that you would give to your younger self as well?
I think for me it was always around like trusting me in the moment when I was younger. Like, I think I was always just someone that didn't think about what I did. I just did it. And that was a really great thing for me. And sometimes it's not, but sometimes we just need to allow ourselves to trust. And, I feel when I was a little girl, I just had no fear and I just did so many things. And I would tell myself, don't let people put you in a box. My grandma did that once, and other family members too. And for a while there, I remember that my energy was so much for people that I thought I had to put that down. And so I would tell my younger self, like, they're just actually threatened by your energy. And I just needed to own more of that, and I'm owning more of that. But energy doesn't have to be like erratic, and you can have energy and be so powerful just by even just being so more grounded. And so I think that's something and also, as a little girl, I had so much anxiety. I remember that. And I think I would just say to her, like, it's okay. You're going to be okay. Like, that's something I remember now too. Yeah.
I love that. What's one question that you were hoping I was going to ask today?
Shit. I don't. Okay. No, go.
Yeah.
Oh,
go.
Okay.
Or something that you'd like to share with the listeners, like as a parting gift.
Oh, that's hard as well. I'm going to go with the question for the next person. And that is, oh, this is hard. What's something you're letting go of for this month? Whether it be an identity, a thing that you've been holding on to, what are you letting go of? Yeah.
I love that so much.
I think it's good for the theme we've had today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And letting go as well, like for context, can be what conversations are you no longer entertaining? Is there someone that is in your life that you're like, do you know what? They don't. Yeah, exactly right. And, you know, or is it I need to clean up my house and let go of things that I'm holding on to from the past? Like it's those things that it can be environment as well.
Honestly, it can be what you interpret it, you know, letting go of not being late.
Yeah.
Or okay to be late. It can be letting go of, you know, people pleasing, whatever comes to mind, letting go of fear of judgment, or even letting go of being worried about what people think of you too.
Such a beautiful question. I love that.
Thanks, honey.
Thank you so much for coming on Conversations That Count. I've absolutely loved it and think that it was so relevant in so many ways. Like it feels like it's such a theme for me at the moment is around identity. So I appreciate your insight.
You're
and
owning
thank
your
you.
identity, honey.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, gorgeous.